Welcome to Week 2. This week we will discuss Chapter 5. As a disclaimer, we will not follow the exact order of the chapters in the book, and we're going to begin with Chapter 5, and we may jump around throughout the semester, so please be mindful of that. Every week, I'm going to briefly talk through these slides to give you a high-level view of what you'll be learning about for the week. However, it's still important that you read the corresponding chapter in your textbook. Notice this content is created by McGraw-Hill Education. It is from your Computing Essentials 2019 textbook. So, by the time you're finished reading and working through this chapter, you should be able to do the following. Discuss personal computers and list the 5 most common types. Define system boards and related terms. Define microprocessors, define computer memory and related terms, determine if a computer has adequate memory to perform specific tasks, and list different kinds of ports and give examples of each. So as discussed in the learning objectives, we're going to learn about types of computers, and we're also going to learn about their components. And why would we want to do this? Because as an end user, you should know what's happening behind the scenes. So first we will discuss personal computers. These are the most widely used type of computer designed to be affordable, operated by the end user, and easy to use. We're going to unpack the different types of personal computers next here. So one type of personal computers are desktops, and desktops are the most powerful of the personal computers. You get the most for your money. There are 2 different types. There are ones that have separate towers that house all of the components, and there are ones that are called all-in-ones, which contain all of the components in the same case. Another type of personal computers are laptops. Laptops have a clamshell form. They open and close. There are 2 types of specialized laptops that you might know of. There are 2-in-1s that have a touchscreen and fold like a tablet, and there are Ultrabooks, which are similar to a standard laptop, but they're lighter and thinner and have a longer battery life, but they're not as powerful as standard laptops. Another type of personal computers are tablets or tablet computers. These are small and light. They are great for consuming content and watching videos, but they're not great for doing schoolwork as they have limitations. Another type of personal computers are smartphones. And these, of course, are very popular mobile devices. They have all the capabilities of a cell phone and extended capabilities such as web browsing and using mobile apps. The last type of personal computer would be your wearable, and those are smartwatches and activity trackers. So among all of these different types of computers, they all may have different components. But they all have these 3 things in common. They all have system boards, microprocessors, and memories. So the system board is essentially the motherboard, and it controls communication across the entire system. Every component connects to the motherboard, and the motherboard has a data path and traffic monitor, which allows these components to communicate with each other. The motherboard also has sockets and chips. Sockets are connection points for chips, and chips are little circuit boards that get mounted onto chip carriers. Slots and bus lines are also part of the motherboard. Slots provide a connection point for specialized cards, and they provide expansion capabilities for the computer. Bus lines provide pathways that support communication among different components. The next component we'll discuss is the microprocessor. It's often referred to as the brains of the computer. It's contained in a single chip, and that in of itself has two components. Microprocessors have a control unit and an ALU, or arithmetic logic unit. The control unit tells how to carry out instructions, and the ALU performs arithmetic and logical operations. Microprocessor chips have capacities expressed in word size. In other words, the capacity is a number of bits that can be processed at one time, and the clock speed is how fast the CPU carries out tasks. Multi-core chips are two or more separate and independent CPUs within a system unit. Parallel processing is the computer's ability to divide tasks into parts that are distributed across each core. There are specialty processors. Among one of them are coprocessors, and they are designed to improve specific computing operations. A graphics processing unit, or a GPU, is really designed for individuals that enjoy gaming, and they handle specialized tasks like 3D images, encrypting data, and standard features in gaming computers. The last component we'll discuss is memory. So there are three well-known types of memory chips. There's RAM, ROM, and flash memory. And memory itself is a holding area for data, instructions, and information. They are contained on chips connected to the system board. So we're going to discuss each one of these types of memory. So RAM. The purpose of RAM really is to hold the program that's currently being processed. So it holds all the instructions and information needed to run that program and accesses it as it's needed. And cache memory is temporary high-speed holding area between the memory and CPU. You can add additional RAM using an expansion module called a dual inline memory module. If your computer does not have enough RAM to run a program, it might be able to run using virtual memory, where programs get divided into parts, and the parts are stored in a secondary device. Each part is read into RAM only when it's needed. So if you have a very large program, it will break up all these sets of instructions into different chunks, and RAM will only hold the specific set of instructions that you currently need. This is a table that just shows different tasks that you could perform based on the memory size that you have. So you can take a moment to review that. If you'd like to pause this video, feel free to. The other type of memory is ROM. It's called read-only memory, and it contains important information for how to boot the computer, and it also contains information stored by the manufacturer. It's non-volatile and it cannot be changed. The CPU can read or retrieve data, but it cannot change data. Flash memory is starting to replace ROM chips. It has features of both RAM and ROM, where unlike ROM it can be updated, but unlike RAM it's non-volatile. It contains startup information as well. Expansion slots. So you can expand your system's capabilities with these different types of expansion slots and cards. You have graphics cards, network interface cards, wireless network cards, and SD cards. There are also ports that are used for connecting external devices to your system unit. Ports connect directly to the system board and to the cards inserted into the slots on the system board. There are two different types of ports. There are standard ports and there are special ports. Standard ports are USB, Ethernet, HDMI, and Thunderbolt. If you have not heard of Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt was part of the MacBook Pro. And it was first introduced in Apple's MacBook Pro, and a single port can connect up to 7 devices. Types of special ports are eSATA, which allow for high-speed connections for external devices like hard drives. Musical instrument digital interface. You can connect musical instruments like an electronic keyboard, for example. MDP, or mini display ports, connect large monitors. VGA and DVI connect to analog and digital monitors. FireWire provides high-speed connection to special FireWire devices. Cables are used to connect external devices to the system via the ports. This is just a visual of the different types of cables for all of these standard ports. So you've got USB, HDMI, Thunderbolt, and Ethernet. Lastly, these different devices need power supplies, and each one has a slightly different type of power supply. So computers require direct current power, converting alternating current from wall outlets or batteries. Desktop computers have a power supply in the system unit. Laptops have AC adapters in the system unit. Tablets and mobile devices use internal AC adapters, and smartphones can be charged wirelessly. This concludes the introduction to Chapter 5. Please read your textbook, as there is a lot more information in the book, and if you have any questions, you can email me.